Hello. Welcome to Almighty Blues FC. This is a very special episode because I think, let's be real, Leicester City is a team which everyone misses in the Premier League, and it used to be, for the last few years, the second team of, so-called neutrals. But wait a second. There is, I would not say rivalry, but there is some amount of friction after what has happened in the recent past between Leicester and Chelsea, of course. And yes, it's this weekend, maybe a one step to Wembley. And we have Brad from Leicester Till I Die TV. Great to have Brad. For people who do not know, Leicester Till I Die TV was one of the first channels that I collabed with, and of course, always look forward to their content. So, in case you have not checked out the content, check out the content. It is below in the title and description. So, Brad, how are you? Of course, the championship is a tough ride, but I'm pretty sure you are happy with the way it's going and optimistic.
Oh yeah, first of all, thanks for having me back on the channel. It's always great to come on here and do work. Despite the recent like 5 or 6 results, if you told me at the start of August, given the turmoil of our relegation, I would have put your hand off for it. So I can't complain as much as the moaning I've been doing over recent results. I'm really enjoying it.
See, that's the difference. As again, I won't generalize, but Brad knows me. I am an optimistic at how I am, right? And I kind of look positive because some of us, we have seen there when our teams were shit, right? And that's the reality. And we are, unfortunately, both our teams right now, somewhere down the line, we are not there where we actually belong, is what we would like to think for sure, right? Because things have changed, and our fan base, Chelsea fan base, complains all the time, and it complains all the time. And look at Brad, like so positive, and this gives me a positive vibe. But does that mean the Leicester team are really looking forward to come to Stamford Bridge? Because let's be real, one step from Wembley, and I think this new manager has got it going top of the championship as things stand. The time of recording this video, yes, I know last 5 game weeks haven't been ideal, so as to speak, but again. So I think we have lost the Carabao Cup final. We have obviously lost another game. We have won 2 in 5. We are 1 2 in 5. So in terms of form, really there's not much to speak about it. This manager Enzo Maresca, like he is really popular even for people who don't follow the championship. Like he's been scouted. It's like, how do you rate his management style? The squad that you had, there are some people like Wadi, even Albrighton for that sake, are now still performing. So you have to give him credit along with the youngsters that you got.
I would rate him very well, but he's come here, Ankit. He's come here with a good attitude, and if you, like I said at the start, you look at the squad we've managed to maintain, right? And I know some of them haven't had the greatest of times this season, but Ricardo, Justin, Iheanacho, Jamie Vardy,
Indeed.
Wilfred Ndidi. There's at least 5 names I could say that they would easily walk into most Premier League sides as a squad player.
In fact, Ricardo Pereira is one at one point in time, like he was a sought after person. I know that there are some injury issues, but recently I noticed one of the games where Enzo Maresca actually played him in midfield. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, he did. He loves to be versatile with his playing, and Ricardo's one of them players that loyalty's like a myth in football these days. People forget it doesn't actually exist, and the fact that this is compliments to Enzo's style, because yes, there's still flaw in his logic. There's still things he needs to smooth over and get better at. He does need to work on a second way to win, I feel, personally myself. We're top of the league, so it isn't doing that bad of a job. But you know what I mean? It's always nice to have a plan B, because I do feel sometimes in games we've got a little bit stuck and not really known what to do. We had 6 or 7 players that before they even knew was in charge were like, yeah, by the way, just so you're aware, not like a new manager coming into a toxic work environment. 6 players were literally ready to hand in their resignation and wanted to go. He sat down with them, and that one meeting, then players have gone, actually, go on then, I'm up for this challenge. Whether that was on a promise that we'd let them go at the end of the season, because we've got a lot of them players are on, this is the last year of the contract, I don't care. It's positive that he's got people with a fighting mentality. It's almost like we play a style of football of, if you needed an example of how Man City would look playing their style of football with less world-class talented footballers.
Yeah, I hear
You
you,
know,
and that's the reason why he is linked to even top jobs. As in, he is
yeah.
at least rumored to,
I
right?
mean, literally, you watch Man City, they weren't brilliant at doing it at the start, Ankit, and now they're the best team to watch. They pass it around brilliantly. I watched their game against Liverpool for a bit, and they got forward, realised they had no options, and went back. The fans didn't care because they're winning trophies and top in the league, obviously, and they've got world-class players to do that. It's not so glamorous when Leicester do it, but when we get it right, you've seen this season we beat teams 4-1, 5-0. We've turned games on its head, and it's why we've only got a handful of losses this season. Yeah, I'm fairly happy. I genuinely see what he's trying to achieve. Like I said, still lots for him to work on, but 30 plus games into his managerial career, and this is what he's done to a side that was down and out, and most Leicester fans
No,
were
credit where it's due.
table.
For sure, credit where it's due. And again, he needs to finish the job. But talk about Enzo. There's a joke going around in the Chelsea fan base, so kind of linking him to our job. Like Enzo will be the only person who'll be managing Enzo. Well, no one else can manage an Enzo, which we have as well. But talk about players specifically. And again, you mentioned a few players that Leicester have. Like we've had the opposite side of the coin troubles, right? In our case, it's almost like we think some of our players are not motivated enough, some of them are not committed enough, and that's bound to happen when you have a new ownership. And that's something that Leicester are probably famous for having. Great ownership, which everyone loves, right? And that's why the second club example that I gave in the beginning of the stream. But it's an injury FC right now, so maybe yes, you said that recent weeks have not been as good as what the previous months were. On our side, if you see the form, I think we've been slightly better than what we were. But the patterns of play that you're talking about, that's so unlike what Poch was known for when he came to Chelsea and when he was there with Spurs and Southampton. Which again, maybe the fact that he has many young players, maybe the fact that he's listening to the owners, not playing certain players. So again, there are a lot of issues. But it's a cup game after all. It's a Stamford Bridge. Now, the last 5 times, and of course, beginning of the video that I mentioned, there has been a little bit of a rift. Of course, it didn't help Amartey doing what he did, back in the day. Of course, that disallowed goal of Ben Chilwell. Of course, we Chelsea fans say that there was still a slight handball. The Tielemans ricochet of Reece James, but. Yeah. Credit where it's due, because Brendan Rodgers, Leicester at that point in time was very good in the cup. So, and it motivated us to get the Champions League. You never know. I remember speaking to you and Chris exactly on this topic. But after that, 5 games, and first game itself was like quite heated, I must say. Rudiger and of course Jorginho was there after the Amartey episode. But then 5 games we have not lost to you all, and I know it's been a while because we're in different leagues right now. But this must be the game for you to kind of maybe test yourself at best, because the run up to the quarterfinals has been fairly simpler, if I may say so, for you. Obviously, we had Aston Villa, but you had Bournemouth is also not easy, of course. But compared to Aston Villa, and comparing, and of course, before that, I think both of us had a couple of easy ties. Although Leeds is never easy for us, but in this particular game, it's probably because you are top of the championship. It's a great opportunity, not just reaching the Wembley stage, but also the fact that really test yourselves. Although we are not there yet, but it'll be a statement for sure, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I do feel, however, that given our position in the league and the way we've kind of, not fully, but we've started to let slip that lead a bit. I was talking after the Bournemouth game, thinking if we can just about keep our gap to where it was back then, obviously great, shows what I know, right? But I was hoping we'd probably go full strength against you. We've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Because if you beat us, then, okay, you get your revenge for the FA Cup final, I suppose, and we're a championship side, you're a Premier League side. If we knock you out, it's more embarrassing for Chelsea.
Our season is over. In fact, our future, some people would like to say, is also at stake. So for us, it's that important. Like, we need some Europe, and Poch more than anyone needs some Europe. That's for sure. But you mentioned, as in again, those games, right? As in, if I remember right, as in the games with Leicester, although we've had good results, it's always like competitive, right? And we expect the same as Stamford Bridge, despite it being a knockout, where FA Cup we're targeting a 9th FA Cup, and of course it's a long way to go right now. But in terms of the squad, right, we have a lot of injuries, and I think Ricardo Pereira, we mentioned, I believe he may not be fit, is what I hear, possibly. As in, I'm not sure that if you can just confirm, or you think that you will just play the same team, and you have a slight advantage. I don't know if I can say that, but you played Hull 2 days before we played Newcastle. You think that's an advantage, but the travel part, I know.
I think it does in terms of maybe some players that need a bit more time to get on the pitch. Vardy didn't train. He didn't train because of the injury he was carrying, and he scored 2 goals against Holland and managed 80. I think it was 85 minutes before we put that. I still fancy our chances. I really do, and it's not just because Chelsea's season's been so indifferent. It's just it'd be typical of Leicester struggling so far in these last 5 games to get things going. Turn up at Stamford Bridge, go and do your 2-0 or 2-1 or something.
Because it's the motivation. Plus, like we spoke about, it's also about like I think you're more sure of your football. So even if there are people missing, like we mentioned, the amount of players we have mentioned, we are still redeveloping our style. We don't know our style what it is. Although poch ball is a thing, it's not seen so consistently, and that's why our fan base is split, right? But again, the motivation one can argue is greater for Chelsea because, like I said, it's a future almost at stake, and the players and the managers' future. So for me, I believe, I hear you absolutely. But again, because it's a Stamford Bridge, I think that part of the advantage goes to Chelsea, obviously. But again,
we took Liverpool to 70 minutes before they broke us down and
yes,
beat us 3-1 in the Carabao Cup. Yes, they eventually did tear us apart 3-1, but that like you're sorry to interrupt you, Ankit, but you're talking about the pressure that's maybe on Poch and the players to get through this game. If Leicester can get to 70 minutes and still be in the game, whether it's 1-1 1-0 Chelsea, that could then turn, and that's when that's when all of a sudden home advantage gets thrown out the window because the crowd are nervous and reaction, and Leicester will try and feed off that.
And it makes it tastier because it's just before the international break. So I'm pretty sure even Chelsea will go all out, although we have like half the squad injured. But I think I rather not see, with all due respect to Sterling, who's done immense in England, but come on. I rather have like a proper winger who's actually motivated to play this game, and hopefully we do that. My lineup is pretty straightforward. You have said that even you would probably expect a strongish lineup as much as they're available. So let's get to the prediction. It's that time. Without the bias hat on, what do you think is going to happen in this game? And I remember I believe it goes directly to extra time and penalties. It doesn't go to replay, right?
I think the rules have changed now. I think because our last tie went to extra time anyway. So I think it's extra time. I think we can force extra time. The only problem is the last time I remember us playing an FA Cup time that went to extra time, you ended up beating us 4-2. I think Pedro scored 2 goals in that.
Oh,
so
yes.
I hope it's not like that. For us, it's about a performance. If we can put in a good performance, and Chelsea fans can go away thinking, you know what, they put up a great fight. That was a good game. I'm glad we got through it. But from your perspective, my heart says 2-1 Leicester, but my logical football brain, I can see Chelsea winning it in the last 10 minutes. I can see Chelsea winning it, and I'm going to give us a goal. I can't help but have a Leicester bias on it. I'm going to say 2-1 Leicester, 2-1 Chelsea. I do think you're going to come out on top.
You know what? I'm glad you said that because the second halves have been far worse than the first halves, and for me, there needs to be a change in a cup game again for us to kind of change that momentum. And also in terms of the tactics, obviously giving it away, I'm pretty sure you're not going to speak to Enzo tonight because on crosses, trust me, mate, as in we are probably the worst that you can think of. We are among the shortest sides in the whole of the Premier League. Of course, one of the youngest, but also one of the shortest sides. And there, I think, with the man in behind, you never know. Even I give Leicester a goal. I do give that. But if it goes to extra time, I actually fear the worst. As I said, our half the squad is injured. So I rather have it won in full time. I believe we are good enough to do that just about because we're at home again and because the importance of this tie for Chelsea Football Club as a whole. But just nicking it 2-1 in normal times. What I'm saying, people in the chat, do let us know. We'll enjoy it together in the watch along, guys. Big up to you all, no matter what of the chance. But all the best to Leicester, and we'll meet again.